you very much.
Okay, so let me do the opening to our audiences.
Great.
Okay, so I see a lot of audiences are entering the meeting room continuously, so we will start ahead and wait for them to add in simultaneously. Okay. Hi guys, welcome to the event of International College Preparation Carnival organized by In America Education this year. Good morning and good evening. My name is Claire. I graduated from University of Pennsylvania and I'm a college consultant at In America. Glad to meet you again. Previously, we have hosted 11 great sessions with different programs and speakers. We also got a lot of positive feedback from our students and parents. Today, we will continue on 2 awesome programs in the United States, and I'm going to be the bilingual host of these sessions. 各位同学和家长们，大家好。欢迎收看和收听由 In America Education 在美国际教育举办的2021年国际本科规划嘉年华活动。我是今天的主持人 Claire 老师，毕业于宾夕法尼亚大学。那么我同时也是 In America 在美国际的本科申请顾问老师之一。很高兴再次与大家见面。在上一周我们举办了11场非常精彩的讲座分享，同时呢。
You froze. Claire, I don't hear you, and you're not moving. Can somebody indicate if they can hear me and see me? I can start talking because I don't hear or see the host.
Hi, Norbert. I think there's something wrong with Claire's internet. So how about wait about like a few minutes and see if she's trying to log back in.
Okay, well, just let me know.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Just a few minutes. 大家稍等片刻，因为网络问题，就是我们的主持人正在尝试重新登录。
Sorry guys, my connection is just off. Sorry about this confusion. I'm back. Okay, let's continue. Can you hear me? Can everybody hear my voice?
Yes, I can.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. Okay, let's continue. 好，我们刚才说到说到这个，今天我们是继续进行咱们这个本科申请规划嘉年华的活动。上一周和昨天呢，其实我们举办了一共11场非常精彩的讲座，也受到很多积极的反馈。那么今天呢，我们也将继续展现2个非常重磅的项目活动。与此同时呢，可赖老师也将与大家一起来共同了解这些项目的价值，活动对大学各方面背景提升的帮助。 对你们大学规划的促进作用，以及咱们来讲一讲如何才能正确筛选出最适合自己的项目等问题。以往大家对学术竞赛的理解啊，通常局限于理工科和数理化的这种比赛的名字。那么实际上呢，很多好的理科类竞赛，他们往往涵盖了人文思维，关注社会发展，结合国际形势等不同真实受用的领域范畴。通过 In America 全球本科规划嘉年华，我们这次活动希望大家能够进一步加深对高级学术项目、大学下校、国际志愿活动、社会实践等等这些项目的理解，来开启你们本科申请规划的正确打开方式，全面提升自己的教育规划理念和自我评估体系，为大家的大学申请做出最佳的调整和选择策略。Okay, today we're super excited to invite Dr. Norbert Maslinsky, is the founder of International Brain Bee. I look forward to starting the conversation with him, and we will work together to introduce all aspects of this competition, discuss its value and how it will help you gain competitiveness to build up your knowledge, skills, and profile. Eventually, we'll see how this competition would lead to the success of your college preparation and application, especially for those top skills like Ivy League schools and others. 好，首先呢，我们非常荣幸的邀请到了国际脑神经科学竞赛组委会的创始人 Norbert Maslinsky 博士，能够亲临现场与我一起为大家介绍 International Brain Bee 这个比赛，以及我们也将共同来探讨这个竞赛背后所在的价值，对大学规划与申请的意义，以及它如何帮助大家成功进入世界顶尖的名校包括那些藤校等等。可乐老师之前有一个学生呢，在他10年级的时候参加了脑神经科学竞赛，并且取得了非常好的成绩。那么他今年呢，也被牛津大学和康奈尔大学等诸多名校同时录取。希望这个成功的案例呢，可以激励到大家。接下来有机会的话，我会跟大家更多的去分享这个故事的细节。好的，话不多说，我们现在开始吧。Hi, Dr. Maslinsky, how are you?
Hello, I'm fine.
Sorry to keep you waiting for a while.
That's quite all right.
Good. Thanks for being here. We all know International Brain Bee is a great competition for students to participate. And actually, one of my students also participated when he was a junior. And this year, he got into University of Oxford and Cornell University.
That's outstanding.
Right. This competition definitely contributes a lot to build up his profile in neuroscience and connect him to the major of experimental psychology. Great. I will help to summarize and translate the main points of your part to our audiences, and I'll leave the next part to you, and let's get started. Feel free to share your screen.
I would like to first give a background.
Sure.
Neuroscience is the study of the brain and the nervous system. It involves such function as hearing and vision and smell and taste and touch. It involves the control of movement. It involves consciousness and sleep, emotions, intelligence, pain. It involves abnormalities of the brain and nervous system. It involves research.
好，那么刚才呢，Dr. Maslinsky 给大家做了一个非常前期的一个背景介绍，就我们基础的这个知识铺垫。大家可能有些同学对脑神经科学这个概念不是很理解，脑神经科学是什么哈？那么脑神经科学它其实又是神经生物学，是专门研究人类神经系统的一个这个学科，比如说包括你的身体结构呀、功能啊、发育呀，那同时也有一些遗传学呀、生物化学呀、生理学、药理学，甚至病理学的一个综合性的学科。那么对行为及学习的研究都是神经科学的一个分支，它所涵盖的领域其实是非常多层次的。OK。
This is a human brain.
Wow, that's amazing. You brought the brain to the scene.
It is a real human brain.
Wow, really?
Yes, it is.
Oh my God. 大家今天呢比较有幸的是 Dr. Maslinsky 他带了一个真正的人类的这个大脑实验标本到咱们这个会的现场非常让人惊讶。Okay, thank you.
This is the back of the brain.
Mm-hmm.
It has to do with vision. This is the sides. It has to do with hearing and language. and memory.
Mm-hmm.
This is the top of the brain, and that has to do with cutaneous sensations and spatial orientation.
Mm-hmm.
This is the front top that controls movement. And in the
Mm-hmm.
front is the glory and the flowering of humanity. This is the
Wow.
biggest of any creature. It is the frontal lobes, the prefrontal cortex. And this is what makes us human. This is where we do our thinking. This is where we have our self control, our
Mm-hmm.
imagination. This is where we have our conscience. And
Okay.
one thing that one has to realize is that we must treat this with respect. That's the word respect, because at one time, this was the center of a human's life with all the experiences and all the loves and all the dreams and ideas that a person can have. And that person had forethought to donate their brain for neuroscience research and education. So I'm using it for education now.
Thank you so much. This is a great lesson for our introductory knowledge to the audiences. I'll translate the first part. Yeah. 刚才呢 ，Dr. Maslinsky 啊带来这个生物标本，大家能看到他戴的是手套，所以这是一个真实的人脑的组织结构。他在前面一部分，他主要是给大家介绍大脑的一个每个区域所对应的人体相具备的功能，比如说哪个部分是控制你语言系统的，哪个是你的声音系统、感知系统，包括你的一些情绪的这个部分。所以我觉得对生物有兴趣的同学，包括你们之前研究过这方面的同学呢，应该有一个更清晰的这个认知和了解。那么不了解的同学，今天咱们也初步的认识了一下，希望能够开启你们的一个新的世界。好，我们继续来听。OK。
This is the brain cut in half. Around here is the brain stem. This operates to control our body functions like heart and lungs, and this was around for a long time, even with the dinosaurs. So we call this reptilian brain.
Mm-hmm.
On top of it is the limbic system. That controls the emotions. And the emotions flowered with the mammals. So this is called the mammalian brain.
Mm-hmm.
And the top is called the human brain, because this has to do with cognition. This is the way the brain developed in evolution through the millions of years. First it was the brainstem, and then it was the limbic system, and then it was the cognitive cerebral cortex. But we don't have to take a time machine to go in the past to see this evolution.
Mm-hmm.
It happens every day around the world,
Mm-hmm.
inside of young women who are pregnant. This brain development occurs in the exact same order in utero. First, the reptilian brain develops, then the mammalian brain develops, and then the human brain develops.
Okay, great. 好，那么这个部分呢，Dr. Maslinsky 他主要是给大家展现了一个人脑半脑的结构。那么在这个半脑结构当中，他告诉了大家哪些是控制情绪的部分，那么上面那一块是控制这个咱们人体意识的部分。那么刚才同时Dr. Maslinsky 也说到了哈，就是说有一些部分它因为我们没有办法做时光穿梭机回到过去某一些特定的年代，所以呢，我们只能去不断的去演绎和推算这些发展历程，它的一些发展的特点。那同时刚才也提到了，它其中有一些部分也是跟咱们女性怀孕过程当中的一些发展组织息息相关的，包括子宫的一些发展，它都能够联系到你大脑的这个结构。OK。
This cerebral cortex continues developing after we're born. It continues developing when we're your age, teenagers. It continues developing as adults until the day we die. When we're born, only half our brains are hardwired. The rest is waiting for us to tell it what to do. And the brain is malleable, and it changes. And that remaining 50% okay, responds to our experiences, to what we sense, to what we do, to how we think. And in so doing, it develops certain parts, and it's made to think that certain parts are more important. So anatomically, physiologically, chemically, they become more complex in the brain. And this malleability is called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity. And because of that, not only does our brain create behavior, but our behavior can create the brain.
好，刚才呢，Dr. Myslinski 也进一步给大家介绍了这个半脑结构与一些咱们人体行为相关的联系哈。他刚才提到了一个概念是 neuroplasticity， 这个神经可塑性。当然可赖老师不是这方面的专家，所以没有办法给大家继续做一个深入的解释。对生物感兴趣的同学，你们可以回去自己去查一下这个概念是什么。刚才呢，博士提到了一个，最后的时候他提到了一句很重要的，他就是说，其实有的时候啊，不一定非得是大脑神经来掌控人的行为，有的时候也是人的行为，它也是可以掌控大脑神经的。那么前面其实我觉得这一个部分充分的给大家做了一个前期的知识铺垫啊，非常棒。OK。
This brain has 100 billion neurons, alive, firing, communicating neurons. 100 billion. That is the same number as there are stars in the Milky Way galaxy. And if you use your imagination, maybe our galaxy has a consciousness of its own. Maybe it communicates with all the other galaxies, 100 billion galaxies around the universe, via light, via gamma rays, via gravity, and so forth, and maybe they communicate. If they do, how would we know? But it's just an interesting thought. Okay, so I'm going to pan away from that.
Thank you, Dr. Myslinski. It's a great session. It's a great lesson, morning lesson for us.
Take off my gloves.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm going to phase into the two organizations that I'm going to talk about. And the reason is people like your age, like Lynn and Yura and Jill and John and Annie and Vicky, it's very difficult to get experience and training in neuroscience at your level, at high school level. You usually have to go to medical schools and so forth. But the organizations that I am going to talk about are organizations that can get you involved. Get you involved at an early age, at the high school age. And I'm going to share my screen right now.
Okay, great.
Here it is. All right. Can you see that?
Yes.
So there are two organizations that I founded that I want to talk about, mainly the International Brain Bee, as our host indicated, but also the International Youth Neuroscience Association. Now, before I go any farther, the recent advances with the International Brain Bee were made possible by 6 of the greatest and biggest neuroscience organizations in the whole world. They've given their money, their time, their reputation, and so forth, and resources. And that's the Dana Foundation, the International Brain Research Organization, the Federation of European Neuroscience Societies, Society for Neuroscience, Alzheimer's Association, and the American Psychological Association. And these individual organizations have confidence and appreciate what the International Brain Bee has for the world and the future.
Okay, let's pause here for a little bit. 刚才 Dr. Myslinski 他也在咱们做这个 PPT 讲解前，他说了一句话，他说其实对于很多咱们的初中生，包括高中生的同学们来说，你们是很难有机会在高中阶段，或者说在你们的这个 高中课堂里面去接受一些比较系统性的、专业的关于脑神经科学的学习的。那么，所以这个国际脑神经科学项目呢，其实是一个很好的学习平台，它也是受到了很多美国乃至国际的科学研究中心的支持。刚才博士也罗列了一些，比如说其中包括国际脑研究组织啊、欧洲神经的这个科学联盟，还有包括咱们之前可能有同学听说过的阿兹海默症氏的这个协会、美国心理学会等等。由此可以初见这个项目它在美国乃至国际学术界的认可度是非常高的。那么同样，它也是很多名校和藤校大学招生官非常认可的高级学术竞赛之一。Okay, please go.
The International Brain Bee tries and does inspire young men and women like yourselves to learn about the human brain and apply those lessons to your daily lives. Because neuroscience is not just for scientists or physicians. Neuroscience is for everybody. It also motivates young men and women to consider careers that are in the neuroscience area so that they can help treat and help find cures for brain disorders.
OK， 好，那么目前呢，我们看这一页，它主要是我们能够了解到，目前在50个国家有超过大概200个城市能够在当地举办竞赛。那么当地级别的获胜者呢，能够进入大区或者州级别的比赛。这个概念就相当于咱们可能国内的同学们理解的这种省级的概念。然后呢，你通过这个级别的比赛之后，再进一步进入国家和国际级别的比赛，所以它是有一个很完善、很严谨的筛选制度的比赛程序的。OK。
And we do this in a fun way. We do it as a competition. And there are 3 levels, the chapter, national, and world levels. There are approximately 50 countries that are Brain Bee countries. And within those countries, there's about 300 chapters. Each chapter, usually around the winter time, each chapter has their own competitions that involve many schools. The winners of those chapter competitions then represent their cities and their schools and their families at their respective national championship. And each national champion then represents their country at the world level and the world championship that occurs every year around the world in different cities.
Yeah. Go on, please. I can summarize.
Okay.
Yeah, next slide.
Next slide. Now, these cities that we've had the world competitions in, the last one was in Daegu, South Korea. The one before that was in Berlin, and then Copenhagen. We've had world competitions in Florence, Italy, in Vienna. We've had them in Cape Town, South Africa, in Australia. We've had them in the United States, Washington, D.C., San Diego, in Canada, Toronto, Montreal, and so forth. So it's truly an international organization. As a matter of fact, the last one we had live was 2019, and the world competition was in Daegu, South Korea. And the winner, the world winner, was a Chinese girl.
Wow, so proud of her.
Yes, a Chinese girl. And she is an inspiration because she was in a small I have about, at least 20 chapters throughout China. But she was in an area that did not have a chapter. But she had a passion for neuroscience, so she studied on her own and had to travel to the nearby chapter to compete, and she won that. Then she competed in the Chinese national and won that. Then she went to South Korea and won the whole thing, the world competition. And she's very humble and very intelligent and very nice young lady. As a matter of fact, second place, third place, and fourth place were all won by females from places like New Zealand and Poland and so forth.
Dr. Myslinski, is the winner of this Chinese girl for this year's competition or last year's competition?
The last in-person world
Oh.
competition we had was in 2019.
Gotcha.
2020 was postponed. So what's coming up, the world competition will be in the fall, in November, in the United States, Chicago, sponsored by the American Psychological Association, and that's going to involve 2 years. So we're going to be receiving the 2020 winners and the 2021 winners, and we're going to have 2 world winners this year.
Okay, great.
Yes.
那刚才 Dr. Myslinski 他就是给大家讲了一个最近2年我们的一个获奖的情况，我们非常自豪的能够听到哈，就是2019年的那一届的比赛呢，我们的最终的全球的这个获得金牌得主是来自咱们中国的一位女孩。那么她当时是通过了中国级别的这个国家级的一个选拔赛之后，最终去到了韩国进行了一个世界级的比赛。那么她荣获了这个金牌，也就是第1名，非常非常骄傲。那么2020年呢，可能是由于疫情的关系，这个脑神经科学大赛是被暂时搁置了。今年呢，我们是有希望能够再次恢复这个比赛制度，大家感兴趣的可以最近可以关注一下。Okay, let's move on.
The content of the competition is multi-leveled, depending upon whether you're at the chapter level, national or international. At the chapter level, it's quite basic. It's mainly a question and answer competition. Sometimes it's more complicated depending upon the chapter, but question and answers. And basically, most of the questions are taken from one resource. Actually, 2 resources. There's the Brain Facts put out by the Society for Neuroscience, and there's Neuroscience, the Science of the Brain, which is on the IBRO, International Brain Research Organization's website. And this resource, Neuroscience, Science of the Brain, is free. It is freely downloadable, and it is actually translated into 22 different languages. So individuals can have their competitions and their individual chapters in their native tongue. However, the main language for the Brain Bee in general is English, and the world competition is in English. But we do make accommodations for individuals that have a difficulty with English. So that's the basic level. I don't know if you want to continue with that.
Yeah, continue, please.
Okay. If you get to the higher levels, there are other concepts. For instance, one part of the nationals, at least in the United States here, has to do with a neuroanatomy practical. We actually go into the cadaver rooms of medical schools, and there are stations, like 25 stations. Each one has a real human brain or brain part, and with pins stuck in them, and the students have to identify the name and the function of these different parts of the brain. And that's one part of the competition. Another part of the competition is the patient diagnosis, where we have actors who pretend they have different brain disorders. And students have to sit down with them face to face and listen to their concerns and their symptoms and ask them questions, and then order lab tests and try to diagnose what brain disorder that actor, that patient has. So that's the second part of the nationals. And then we have parts that are written. We have parts with clinical scenarios. We usually have a ending part that is like is very sudden death type of competition. And then every student gets certain points for every question, and the one with the most points wins. Okay. Now these criteria, these aspects, evolve. They're every year they're evolving, so we have different parts, and we're thinking of group activities in the future. We're thinking of more hands-on, laboratory type parts to the competition. We're trying to look at more of the healthy brain and how we can apply it to our daily lives. Because neuroscience, as I said before, is for everybody. It makes us better students, it makes us better parents, makes us better teachers, it makes us better journalists, better citizens of our countries, and so forth. Knowledge of the human brain is very, very important. Okay. So if I continue here, this is me giving a talk in China. This is worldwide. This is an old slide, but you can generally get the feeling that we have about 50 countries that are involved, and there's more and more countries being added all the time. And this is an example of one national competition. And this is the USA National Brain Bee in 2019. And this was in person before COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the three top winners. This is the trophy of the USA champion. And this is a traveling trophy. And it stays at the school of the winner all year. And then it's transferred to the next winner of the next year. Coincidentally, this young lady's name is Claire.
Oh, wow, such a coincidence. Okay, another Claire, but she's more smart.
And I travel all around the world, and I try and visit countries and help with their different competitions and so forth. This is me in Grenada. In the Caribbean. And it just so happens that these are the winners of the 3 last years of competitions. I think one was 2016, 2017, 2018, and so forth. And it's a poor country. It's a very small country, which shows that this is not just for high technology countries and huge countries. It's for small. These individuals compete, just like in the Olympics. These are competing with the champions from the United States, from China, from Canada, Australia, India, and so forth. And they do very well. Grenada has gotten second place a number of times in the world competition, and they don't have that many resources. One of these winners, I visited their home, and they had no electricity. And this individual was studying, the resources, the brain facts, and so forth, in candlelight. And that individual had gone on and gotten second place. So these students are very passionate with what they're doing. They're very dedicated, and they love neuroscience. I mean, I talk to students, and they say, Dr. Myslinski, they don't offer neuroscience at our level in the schools. And the students tell us we have to go to medical school to before we can get neuroscience. But the students tell me, why wait? We don't want to wait. We want neuroscience now. And so this organization, the International Brain Bee, gives them an opportunity to learn about this wonderful subject, and continue on, because there are many different careers that are involved in neuroscience. This is a slide of where the world competition was hosted over the past years. And I indicated already previously the different countries that we've had the World Championship every year. And last time was South Korea, Germany, USA, Denmark, Australia, and so forth, South Africa, Italy through the years. And so it truly is an international organization. This is an example. We sort of give their flags. We have the students identify with their countries and be proud of their countries, because they are representing their countries, and everybody in their country is looking up to them. How they do, how they compete, with the other countries. So they're very happy, and And this is, I don't know, this was, I think, in Germany. This is the one in Germany. Not sure. In addition to the competitions, we have exhibits. We're part of many conventions all over the world. This is a high school science convention, and so we had a booth. And these are some flags of the countries involved. This is a huge, huge brain. This one's plastic,
Yeah.
right? And some individuals. This is Alex. Alex was one of the main leaders of the next organization I'm going to talk about, the International Youth Neuroscience Association. So we'll come to that in a little bit afterwards.
Okay.
But before we do that, you might want to summarize because I'm going to show a little movie clip now.
Okay, yeah, let's do a quick summary. So 刚才前面几页呢，其实我觉得是非常有意思的，因为 Dr. Myslinski 他从不同的视角给大家展现了有关于这个比赛方方面面的这个信息，还有这个故事哈。那么其中比较主要的呢，可老师给大家总结一下，一个是这个比赛的整个设计的这个知识层面，它一共分几个部分。第一个是比较基础的部分，那么涉及到的可能是一些基础的这个脑神经科学的概念和知识。第二个部分呢，大家会进入到一个比较难的阶段，那么这个阶段会涉及到更高层级的或者说更深奥的一些这种科学的一些理念，其中包括比如说像这个神经解剖学实验。那么大家同学们在参加这个过程当中呢，也有机会和像这种患有脑神经疾病的病人们去近距离的交流和接触，观察和收集他们的一些症状的数据，来有助于你们的这个科学研究。那么其他的部分可能就关于这个比赛其他的部分呢，那它就会涉及到一些论文的写作呀，还有包括 paperwork， 我们就是这个纸质材料的一些制作。这个是整个比赛流程的一个知识层面的结构，大家可以了解一下。那么刚才Dr. Myslinski 他也介绍了其中有一些比较有代表性的一些获奖选手的故事，其中有一张照片，大家可能是否还记得，就是那一张在可能是非洲地区获奖那个得主的同学的家里，他们家其实是非常穷的，而且家里面都没有电，但是这个学生这个孩子他能够最终获得一个全球性的一个金奖得主是非常非常励志的，并且呢，他们这群孩子，刚才那几个孩子，他其实是非常想去医学院的。我看到有同学在观众群里也问到说，哎，这个脑神经科学是为医学做准备的吗？如果你是想学医，那么这个呢，医学当然是脑神经科学涵盖的一个领域，是可以直接联系上来的。所以呢，就像刚才我们这个非洲的金牌得主选手一样哈，他们也是想去医学院，但是由于他们的经济条件呀，还有当地的一些教育水平的限制，他们没有办法在高中阶段去开始学跟脑神经科学相关的一些知识，他们只能等到大学的时候才能去学。所以正好有这样的一个比赛机会呢，很好的弥补了他们在高中阶段对这一块知识的一个渴望，是一个非常非常好的平台和机会。那么最后呢 Dr. Myslinski 也说到了，这个比赛除了它竞赛的部分，它每年也有一些科学主题的展览。那么这张照片呢，其实就是他们可能在世界各地做这种科学类主题的一些知识性的展览。如果恰好你们国家有这样的一些 exhibition 呢，你们也可以去随时关注和报名参加。Okay, let's move on.
Welcome back. Being a brain in school is paying off for some high school students. UMPI hosted more than 70 high schoolers from throughout the county competing in the Northern Maine Brain Bee. Sean Cunningham reports.
Camden Dumont is cutting the skin off the sheep's brain. Camden wants to someday become a cardiovascular surgeon, so this exercise of learning to cut with a steady hand is key. It's also key in learning anatomy and the importance of one organ in particular, the brain.
I hope that they're coming away how diverse the brain is, how diverse the science of neuroscience is, and how there are lots of questions we don't have answers to.
There are more than 70 students from high schools throughout the county participating in this Northern Maine Brain Bee. It's a day of hands-on exercises, activities, and discoveries that will open the minds and brains of these young people to all kinds of neuroscience-related insights. In one room, they're dissecting sheep brains. In another lab, they're exploring the neurophysiology of meditation and calming thoughts. And in another, they're investigating and literally listening to the neurons of cockroaches. It's not for the faint of heart. For these kids, it's actually a pretty cool way to learn.
Dissecting the cockroach leg was interesting. I'm a little bit squeamish, but I was able to do it.
So far, we've dissected a sheep brain, and that was pretty cool because we got to take apart parts that I've never even seen before, even though we messed up a little bit, but it was pretty fun.
Pretty fun and pretty important. Dr. Hanna says the lessons learned from these experiments could spark a career interest in neuroscience. One of these students could find the answers to brain disorders and illnesses like Alzheimer's, MS, or Lou Gehrig's disease. After the lab exercises are done, they're also competing in a Jeopardy-style competition on all things brain. One winner will go on to compete at the National Brain Bee competition next March in Baltimore. But competition aside, these students say they've come away with an experience that'll stay on the brain.
I think it's really cool. This is what I want to study, so I think it's really good to find out a little bit more about what actually goes on in a lab.
I didn't really know much about brain cells and how they communicated, and we got to actually hear them communicating.
I think it's a neat way to learn a little bit more about ourselves, something that we don't usually learn in a high school classroom.
Sean Cunningham, News Source 8.
And the winner from today's Brain Beat was Marta Herzog from Presque Isle. The runner-up was Narissa Larrabee from Caribou.
Great, thanks for sharing.
Did you want to say anything or no?
No, let's move on.
Every year we advertise the Brain Bee, and we have posters such as this. This was one from back to 2015. Australia was the world winner at the time, and down at the bottom you can see some of the competitors that were involved in that one. And we get feedback from the students. And here are some of the examples of their point of view of what the Brain Bee did for them. One individual said, "It changed the way I view the world and myself." Another one said that it was one of the defining experiences of my high school career. Another one said, "It changed my point of view towards life, gave me a completely different perspective. I feel that I became a wide-minded individual." Young man from Italy said, "It was an awesome experience which made me understand both the beauty and the importance of neuroscience. It was with no doubt the best experience I've done so far in my whole life, absolutely." It influenced every part of my life. It gave me a passion that maybe one day will be my job. It says at the bottom, "I honestly view my participation as a dividing line in my life. There is before Brain Bee and there is after Brain Bee." So you have it from the mouths of some of the competitors.
Okay, great. I see there's a lot of impressive feedback on this slide, and I really want to share with my students. Let's pause here for a little bit. 好，那么刚在过去主要开展比赛的国家呢，其实我们在前面的 slide 当中也看到了，大部分是在美国、加拿大、澳大利亚、南非和欧洲这些国家，那也包含丹麦呀、意大利、德国。从2019年呢，它这个比赛也逐渐的发展到了韩国、中国这样的亚洲区国家。那么针对世界所有参加国际脑神经科学的选手学生们呢，其实他们做了一份调查问卷，根据结果显示其中75%的同学是认为这个比赛积极的影响了他们的学术方向和未来的职业。有64%的同学呢分享了他们擅长的和热爱的学习科目是在生物医学和脑神经科学等相关的领域。有95%的同学认为脑神经科学带给了他们非常大的帮助和提升。那么同时这里面也包括他们的大学申请等。这一页呢，我为什么要让 Dr. Myslinski 停下来，是因为我看到了其中有一些参赛学生的一些经验反馈，他们的一些感受，我觉得是写得非常好的，非常真实。那么其中有几条可乐老师可以挑出来给大家讲一下。第一个呢，我觉得让我眼前一亮的是第一句话，他说脑神经科学这个项目它改变了我看待世界和自己的方式。 增强了我的这个自我认可和自信心，并且让我对感兴趣的脑神经科学领域进一步去挖掘和探索。这个过程是非常有趣的。那么同时呢，另外一个同学他也在其中提到说，参加 Brain Bee 之前，我想当一个生物老师，但是在参加完之后，我希望自己能够成为一个医学研究专家。这锻炼了我极强的学术好奇心，打开了在这个领域的科研经历。那这些科研经历是高中课堂可能很少或者很难，甚至无法获取的。我找到了愿意用一生去追求的职业方向，而上面这些点，他们提到的这些反馈，恰恰是常青藤大学和众多名校招生官们希望从申请者上看到的特点。你们的学术好奇心，你们的科研能力、探索精神，你们的成熟的一个世界观、深度的思考，以及你们自己对自己学业和职业有一个清晰的认知与规划等等。所以我们顾问老师也会经常告诉大家，在评估任何一个项目或者比赛活动的时候呢，大家千万不要局限于它的形式，不要只看它是一个竞赛，还是一个课堂，还是一个夏校等等，而是要看你能否从中获得刚才我们提到的这些能力，这些自我的成长和改变，你能不能收获到这些积极的影响，而这些呢，才是更加能够帮助你进行正确选择的因素。OK, thank you.
You're welcome. These are just some of the winners, national winners in the regions or the countries that they've come from over the years, including China and Poland and Romania, Australia, United States, India, and so forth. Now, those of you in the audience who are interested in pursuing this, every country has their national coordinator. So if you can get a pencil and paper, right, and look down at your country. I have here China, Hong Kong, India, Japan, South Korea, Macau, Malaysia, Nepal, Philippines, and Singapore, and write down their email address. And you contact them and tell them that you're interested in participating and competing, and they will take it from there and send you information. Okay? So make sure you write your respective email down.
Yeah, or take a screenshot.
Take a screenshot.
Yeah, that's more effective.
Yeah. Okay. So I had in 2019 I took a tour of China and South Korea. I gave lectures in about 7 schools in about 6 cities, and these are some slides of schools welcoming me, and maybe it's some brain institutes. That's me and some of this Chinese students in the background. I developed some really good relationships there. This is a trophy, the International Brain Bee Trophy on the Great Wall of China.
Wow, it's amazing.
I had the trophy pictured at Tiananmen Square and Forbidden City, you know, and all these different places.
You took the trophy to everywhere in the world.
Yes, I carried it with me. And so this is one of the schools. This is the principal, I guess, and assistant principal in one of the schools I went to in China. This is a Korean institute that I gave a talk at. This is the World Championship in 2019. There's about, 5,000 people in the audience, and that's me holding up the trophy, and here's some dignitaries in the background. And this young lady let me take her picture, and it sort of summarizes the purpose of the International Brain Bee, and that is to inspire, inspire my mind. And so that is the first organization which took up the most time, and this will be just a lot less time. You want to say anything before I go into the International Youth Neuroscience Association?
No, feel free to go on.
Okay. I started this in 2016, but I told the students that it has to be totally student-run, of, by, and for high school students. And so they picked up the ball and they ran with it, and over the last 5 years has created a really big institution now. Originally, it was just in the United States as a network of small neuroscience pockets, Because I looked and I said, well, there's no neuroscience in high schools, but certain students are developing neuroscience clubs, and there's certain like AP courses in neuroscience. And I said it'd be nice to unite all of these different neuroscience clubs into one so they could communicate and help each other out. Well, the students took it, and now they made it an international organization with 110 countries, 6,000 members, 415 registered chapters. And this is mainly to inspire and motivate individuals and give them an opportunity to work together on many different neuroscience projects. For instance, just some examples. There's the Myelin Initiative, where they're developing a comprehensive course in neuroscience for teachers who want to give a course in high school. There's the mentorship program, where they match students with neuroscientists. There is a website where they highlight individuals in neuroscience, high school students, about their diverse and unique experiences. Each week they post 1 or 2 stories on their website. They have periodic different activities. This was in 2020. They had a thing called Brainstem Ideathon, and it had students had like a couple days to develop certain projects and present their solutions via Zoom, and to be judged by certain experts and professionals. And so it's just to introduce them to the wonders of the field of neuroscience and other fields in STEM that they have. Then there is one really good thing that the students might be interested in a lot in is their journal. This is a magnificent journal. It is the only journal in the world totally devoted to high school students, and in neuroscience, the high school students. And high school students run it, they edit it, and so forth. And it comes about 6 times a year. It comes out as an online journal, and high school students submit papers of work projects that they may have in science fairs, or they may spend some time in laboratories at universities in the summer, or they may want to just publish things on their ideas about the summaries of certain aspects of neuroscience, and there's even the fun parts of it. And it's a wonderful thing. And you can have an article in there and put it on your resume for going to higher education in the colleges and say, I published in this peer-reviewed journal, which really helps out in your applications for college and higher education. So this INYA, International Youth Neuroscience Association Journal, is very important. This is another project called Neuron. It's another contest that they have. They also have an art competition, neuroscience art competition.
Wow, impressive.
And like in this, they said you can submit any piece of work related to the brain, related to neuroscience, and it's displayed on websites and so forth. Here's a future computer brain interface. I can't see it because it's covered up, but and here's another one about an individual. So self-portrait of 86 billion neurons. So this is somewhat, you may do a screenshot with this. I'm of course the founder of this organization, and this is their website, youthneuro.org. And this is the high school student, Chief Executive Officer, Jessica Song. This is her email address. So if you're interested in this organization, you can go to that website or contact Jessica individually. Okay. So, and another thing, getting back to the Brain Bee, I'm reiterating the sponsors, and this is my email address, founder, and this is the current executive director, Astrid Eberhardt, of the Brain Bee organization. So if there are also 2 individuals you can contact if you have more interest in the situation. So what I want the students, I'm going to finish up here, what I want to do is have the students use your imagination. I want you to try to imagine a color that you've never seen before. I want you to imagine a sound that you've never heard before. It's not very difficult in one sense. In the other sense, it is very difficult. If you've never heard it before, if you never saw it before, it's very difficult to really imagine it. I mean, the human eye has 3 types of cone cells, and combined they produce all of the myriad of colors that we see. But there are some animals that have 4 cone cells. What do they see? Colors that we probably never even saw. Some animals have 8 cones, some have 12 cones. What kind of world is there out there? Dogs, for instance, have wonderful sounds that they hear that we can never hear, because the range is so, especially in the higher frequencies, is much larger than ours. Their sense of olfaction, of smell, is a whole new world open up to them. So now I want you to imagine yourselves studying neuroscience, competing in the Brain Bee, becoming involved in the International Youth Neuroscience, and eventually maybe becoming a neurologist, becoming a neuroscientist, becoming a psychologist, maybe an anesthesiologist, maybe becoming a journalist who writes about neuroscience and behavior, or maybe somebody in the government who creates laws that are relevant to the brain and our court systems and our law systems and so forth. Neuroscience can be applied in many different ways, helping you, like I said, become a better parent, becoming a better student, and so forth. And, it's a passion that I have, and it's a passion that a lot of these students have. And I think it's a pathway for any of you that are interested to follow those interests and follow your passions and your heart. I have 2 children, Matthew and Kelly, 24 and 26, and they followed their passions, not into science, not like their dad, but they're in the fine arts. One is a movie maker, and another one works with live Broadway theaters in New York City. And so they followed their passions. So I recommend all of you, to follow your hearts, things you're interested in, and it won't be considered work. It'll be considered, something you enjoy and you love and you're involved in all the time.
Yeah, great words. Thank you, Ms. Linsky. Let's pause here, and I'll just summarize the previous part. Okay. 好，刚才呢，我们因为时间关系，所以可乐老师没有刚才逐页的给大家翻译。那么我们听完之后呢，可乐老师在这儿给大家做一个总结性的这个回顾哈。最后的一部分呢，我们提到有一个跟这个脑神经科学相关的叫国际青年神经科学协会。那么这个协会呢，它其实跟脑神经科学是有一个紧密的联系的。他们为高中生开设了很多提供这种入门级别的脑神经科学的课程，他们也拥有这个导师制的项目。同时，他们的指导老师和教练呢，也会来自于各自名校的这个大学生啊、研究生，包括教授等等。这些都可以，大家可以在官网上去进行查看。去年呢，20年他们举办了一次科学峰会 BrainStem， 那么受疫情的影响，他们差不多只有3天的这个峰会的时间啊，同学们是分组去进行这个参与项目的这个活动的，其中呢有包括这个13到17岁的这个年龄组，然后18到22岁的年龄组，那么同学们会从5个课题当中去选择一个项目，选择一个课题进行这个项目的准备，包括这个道德伦理呀、工程学呀、神经经济学、公共健康、科研啊这5个领域，然后有48小时的准备时间，最后通过 Zoom 呢进行一个最终的项目展示。那么在这个过程当中，大家可以不断的去提升自己的国际写作能力、科研能力，你的跨领域的这种设计思维，然后你的实践能力，将创造性的想法带到生活中这样的一个体验。值得提的是呢，你们他们这些参与的学生当中，如果有很好的科研论文的话呢，会收录和发表在 IYNA 这个科学报刊当中。那这个是世界上目前最大的青年脑神经科学杂志。 同时它也有一些科学和艺术类相结合的一些项目，包括刚才博士也展示了，有一些学生他把作品通过绘画的这样的方式展现到他们这个展览会当中。所以像科研报告、你的论文的发表、你的艺术作品，这些都是属于极强的本科申请的补充材料。除了文书以外，大家的个人网站呀，你的刚才我们提到的这些所有的这个部分呢，都是可以作为参考和借鉴进来的。之前呢，可老师有个学生啊，他是对人体结构感兴趣，所以他高中期间呢，为一个科学的平台，一个多媒体平台，他是负责完成了整套的手绘人体科学图样，然后进行这种科学知识的传播，这些其实都成为了他最后申请大学时候非常有力和给力的材料。科学和艺术是可以完美结合的。同样的，脑神经科学它也是一个可以和很多其他专业领域进行完美跨领域结合的科目，比如说心理学，比如这个人工智能，比如医学，比如公共健康等等，它不完全局限于生物这一个领域。那么这也是给大家的一个启发，你们在本科规划的过程当中，需要尽量的打开思维，跨领域尝试是受到鼓励并且非常好的，因为你能够挖掘自己更多的兴趣，探索自身的潜力和价值。那刚才呢 Dr. Myslinski 也在最后给大家提到了一个创造性的想法，这个是一个我觉得是个很好的这个idea 哈。他就说，其实这种脑神经科学，你别看它是个理工科，它其实很大程度是考察你们的创造性。比如刚才博士提到了说两个很简单的问题，你去尝试想象一下你从来没有见过的一种颜色，你去尝试想象一下一种你从来没有听到过的声音。当你再去思考这些好像看上去很新奇的问题的时候，你的创造性就慢慢的被开发了。所以这个呢，也是属于这个项目当中千万个在对大家有利的这种提升的方面的一种，大家可以去思考，去考察。Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Myslinski, and it's really inspiring to see so many students get their personal growth and development from BrainB programs. Due to the time limitation, I will only pick 1 or 2 questions from our audiences, and let's do the Q&A session within 5 minutes. Okay, the first question is, I think you can answer. So one of the parents or students is asking, for this program, what's the lowest grade they can start to prepare?
Okay, eligibility is defined by age, not school. And we consider teenagers, at least in English, teenagers eligible. And in English, that's anybody who is 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, or 19 years of age. So it's just in that area. If you're under 13, you cannot compete. If you're over 19, you can't compete. So the youngest is 13 years of age.
Okay, great. 好，那么刚才有一个学生或家长问他说，这个比赛他是从几年级开始准备啊？那么这个我们有一个概念可以纠正大家，你能够参加这个比赛的年级，不等于你可以去准备这个比赛的年级。那么刚才博士也提到说，他们其实很鼓励青少年学生从一个比较初中可能低年级的阶段就开始去进行这方面领域知识的学习，做一个前期铺垫和准备的。比如说他提到这个13岁你就可以开始去，如果你真的感兴趣，你可以开始去学习和了解。那么13、14一直到19岁这个阶段，你都可以不断的去学习相关的课程，然后逐渐的呢达到能够参加这个比赛的水平和级别之后，大家再去参加比赛。所以凡是不管你是本科规划还是申请还是参加任何的这个竞赛，都可以提前开始做一些相应的前期铺垫。Okay, another great question is, how can they connect this competition to their major selection in college application? What do you think?
Well, several different ways. One is if they publish in the journal of the International Youth Neuroscience Association, that's peer reviewed, and if you put that on your application, that is very impressive to the admissions committee. The organization, the BrainB, is getting more and more well known throughout the world. Admissions offices and so forth are aware of the importance and prestige, and if you can put on your application that you actually won the local and or won the national, and especially if you won the world competition, that also is very, very helpful in that respect. Now, not only can students compete, but they can also volunteer to help. They can like start a chapter in their own city, and with the help of other students and other scientists and so forth. It's not that difficult, and there's unlimited number of chapters. There's no limit to the number of chapters we can have. So students can get together, they can formulate a chapter and tell their national coordinator to add their chapter to the national chapters in that country. And they can then say that they founded, a neuroscience chapter, or they could say they're the president or chairman of the committee that runs that science program. And so that's the third way that you can put on your applications and to help you. A fourth way is just the knowledge. The knowledge that you have in this program can help you in other courses. It can help you in other science courses, even in history courses, in sociology courses, psychology courses. So it can help you with your grades in your other courses. It can help you when you do get into college, to help you understand the material a little bit more. And not only that, but help you study and find ways of better to use your brain in that situation. And of course, I said, it'll help you decide what you want to do with the rest of your life. Maybe this will inspire you and motivate you to go into those careers that are related to neuroscience.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dr. Myslinski. 好，刚才我们其实探讨另外一个非常好的问题哈，有同学在问说，这个项目或者说比赛参加之后呢，它能够给咱们本科申请过程当中专业选择有哪些参考的价值。其实呢，刚才博士说了很多，那么可乐老师之前也提到了，这个比赛它不仅仅局限于生物这个领域，它同样涉及到很多其他方面的学科，所以你们不要因为它的名字是它是脑神经科学，那么我是不是只能申请医学？我是不是只能申请这个人类生物或者说健康学？不是的，它也会涉及到很多像其他的社会科学类，比如像心理学呀，包括这个公共健康啊，还有这种工程类的，比如说人工智能专业。如果你们是这种专业感兴趣的学生呢，你同样可以来考虑参加这样的一个项目。那么我在最开始的时候，可乐老师说到我今年的有个学生，他被牛津大学和康奈尔大学录取，那么他申请的专业并不是生物学，虽然他参加了这个比赛，他最终去牛津大学入读的是实验心理学，那么康奈尔录取他的呢是公共健康学。所以呢，大家一定要把自己的思维打开。如果是说你有更多的想法，你可以和你的顾问老师去探讨。那么可能后面加进来的咱们这个讲座的观众朋友们，可能前面 miss 掉很大部分，可能有一些这个知识上的脱节，你们也可以到后面去回顾一下，或者看咱们这个视频的回放，去梳理一下自己的这些想法。这个比赛是什么？它的价值在哪里？你能从中获得哪些提升？以及最终它对你的大学本科的这个申请有哪些启发？包括这个专业的选择，好不好 ？Okay, great discussion, and thank you very much again, Dr. Myslinski.
I would like to say one other thing.
Go ahead.
Okay. The 2022 World Competition is going to be in Paris, France.
Wow.
And I would like to see Lynn and June and John and Vicky and Cindy and Derek and Nancy and Rachel and Lucy and Van and Cece and Adam and let's see, many of those other students, Pan, Kathy, Alex, Louis. I hope to see, some of you in that competition in next summer.
Great. Thanks for invitation. 好，刚才呢，我们很可爱的这个 Myslinski 博士他也说了，今年2022年的脑神经科学世界比赛呢会在法国巴黎进行。那么刚才很多同学，我们观众席同学们被点名了啊，他期待说能够希望在这个赛事上见到大家，你们的名字可莱老师又不一一去念到了，你们自己做一下笔记。刚才被提到的这些 同学的这个名字的同学呢，关注一下。然后呢，有任何的不清楚的，对这个比赛有更多想了解的这个信息呢，可以直接去联系 Dr. Myslinski。同时呢，也可以联系我们 In America 的加我们 In America 的小助手，跟我们的顾问老师做进一步的探讨。Okay, great. Thank you, Dr. Myslinski. I will keep you posted and get you guys for any more questions from audiences, or I'll get you guys connected for any follow-ups. Let's keep in touch and have a great weekend.
Thank you, Claire.
Thank you. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
好。那么今天非常感谢国际脑神经科学组委会的创始人 Myslinski 博士为大家带来的精彩讲解和讨论。我们希望大家呢能够从这场分享当中更多的去了解 BrainB 竞赛的本身，同时对竞赛背后的价值、给自身的帮助以及如何帮你们合理规划到本科申请这个过程当中有一些新的思考。如果大家有更多的问题，刚才说到了。